Welcome to Season 7 of True Blue Conversations with your host, Adam Bloom. Real talk with those who pledge to keep us safe with grit, sacrifice and determination. Let's get on with the show. This episode of True Blue Conversations is proudly brought to you by Loudon Private Wealth, the team trusted by professionals, veterans and families across Australia to build real long-term financial security. If you want to take control of your finances, protect your future and build real generational wealth, Loudon Private Wealth are the people you want in your corner. They don't do gimmicks, they don't do hype, just smart strategy and honest advice coupled with real-world experience. Check out the links in the description to contact Warren and the team via loudonpw.com.au or 02 8313 0418. Now let's get back to the show. This episode of True Blue Conversations was brought to you by Dead Reckoning Rum, creating individual rum releases commemorating the diggers lost in Afghanistan, proudly supporting veterans, donating 50% of all their profits to veterans organisations around Australia. Look up Dead Reckoning Rum, buy some bottles, connect via Instagram and Facebook and give them your support. Now, let's get back to the show.
G'day, welcome back to True Blue. Today I'm joined by a really good friend of mine, and this is a podcast that we have been trying to tee up for quite some time. My guest today is a former Australian Army and Air Force veteran, the wife of a former Special Forces operator, and a proud mum who currently has one of her children serving in the Australian Defence Force. She is also an extraordinary athlete, holding an incredible 16 world records, including multiple Guinness World Records. In this episode, we're talking about the other side of military service, the often untold story of life on the home front. We explore what it takes to be the partner of a Special Forces operator through deployments, uncertainty, and the sacrifices families make behind the scenes. Her name is Eva Clarke. Eva also shares her own remarkable military journey, plus her early childhood, a troublesome childhood she had, pushing the limits of human endurance and the resilience that has defined her life. Eva Clarke, welcome to True Blue.
Hello, thank you for having me, and you're making me blush, Adam.
Nah, it's so good to have you on, and we're definitely going to get into your world records, which 16 times. That blows my mind. We're going to talk about that later. But before we get into your military career and Scott's service overseas and you being at home, let's go back to a young Eve. Tell me about life growing up, because I know it wasn't easy for you. So talk to me about life growing up.
Okay, yeah, it wasn't easy at all, Adam. I came from a very wayward life. So mum had schizophrenia. Both my mum and dad were immigrants. So dad came to Australia when he was 16 through the Iron Curtain, had to educate himself. Mum had kids very young, so broken home. With her mental illnesses, we were in and out of foster care. So there was always these situations where, I just wanted normality. And being the only one out of my four siblings to finish high school, or almost get there to finish high school, I needed an out. I couldn't go do what I initially wanted to do, which was teaching. So I joined the Army. It was the only way that I felt I could break the cycle out of welfare and get away from it all.
So were you pretty sporty at school?
Absolutely. If I wasn't sporty, I wouldn't have stayed at school. So soccer, athletics, cross country, touch football, I would do all that. Everything was swimming. I was a crap swimmer. But, I can swim to save my life. But, yeah, it was my bias. Ever since I can remember, I even remember training for the cross country as an 8-year-old, just going for a run by myself. So it's always been there.
So you've built resilience from a very young age because of you had to, because your your background is, and I've spoken to a lot of veterans, but yours is one that stands out a lot because, come from a broken family, like, and when you're in and out of that foster care, did you have like mentors and that you could sort of look to as hope of, well, this is a way out, not the life that I'm stuck in?
It was, and it was school. So there was a lot of teachers that gave me time. There was a lot of teachers that took advantage of me as well. Not a lot, maybe one in particular.
Mm.
But, school, I liked going to school because I liked to go join the soccer team. I liked to do the cross country, because it was where I kind of shined and I needed that. Having the life that I did, it was tough and I didn't want to get taken away and going to school without food, and teachers would notice that. I remember getting up at 4 a.m. in the morning. Now, some people might think that I'm a little bit of a thief for doing this, but stealing milk because I had a baby brother at home, okay? So going to other people's place and taking milk from their veranda at 4 in the morning so I could feed him, so we would have food. Yeah, so that things like that. My very first holiday I recall with my mum, she took us up into Blacktown in Sydney and we got picked up by the police because we were sleeping in garbage bins. Yeah, so they took us to the Salvation Army. So that's the kind of life that I had. So if you don't build resilience from that, I don't know how else you build it. But it was a life that I didn't want. So I fought tooth and nail to get away from it.
And like now you're a teacher and you see the kids that come through the system now, and do you look at that of some of them that come from the troubled backgrounds? Can you you show empathy to them because you were one of them, and you could have easily gone down a life of crime, as you say, you're stealing milk to survive, and I know that some people get on their high horse and go, Eve, naughty naughty girl, but to survive, like, what do you do? Like, and there's certain people that I know that have had similar, where it was either steal to eat and live, or they would have died. Or so, do you, now that you're a teacher, do you see that and can empathize, show empathy to them?
Oh, absolutely. Empathy in any walk of life. The school that I'm working at right now is a really good demographic, pretty wealthy, okay, but irrespective of that demographic, I can see now it doesn't matter whether you're a housing commission kid or it doesn't matter whether you're a wealthy kid, okay, we all have issues. Unfortunately, the kids that I work with, fortunately for the kids that I work with, they're steps ahead. You know what I mean? They have the resources, the literacy, to kind of maybe make a better life for themselves than the disadvantaged kids that are in the system. Yeah, I feel for kids that are in the system at the moment, especially with this adult crime and adult time. I think parents should be held accountable. Despite my mum's shortcomings, I loved her. I loved her because I knew she was doing the best that she could with what she got. Right? And she didn't get very much, so I do empathize with those kids. And later on in life, as I get a little bit older and when my final child finishes school, because I'm a teacher at his school at the moment, I do want to go work with some underprivileged kids. That's one of my ambitions, to tell my story and to let them know that, if you work hard, if you surround yourself with the right people, you can make it. But unfortunately, when you're clustered into one demographic, into one school that has a lot of welfare, okay, a lot of assault and crime, it's hard to get out.
And you mentioned your mum, like your mum, through no fault of her own, had a medical issue of schizophrenia that, I'm sure that if she didn't have schizophrenia, she would have, like, she did her best. She did the best that she could with what was in front of her, and raising you and your brothers and sisters. That's hard, and it's out of her control.
Absolutely, Adam. And when I was growing up, there was a real big stigma with mental illness. You know what I mean? Like, if you had a disability, they'll call you a retard. My brother and my sisters didn't finish school, both have intellectual disabilities, and I didn't go to school with them because I was too embarrassed. So they went to Riverston High and I went to Parramatta. So I used to catch the train for 40 minutes, okay, because I didn't want to be associated with my family, because I didn't want to be classed as them. When I'd walk with my mum, I'd go walk in front of me. So I have this immense amount of guilt and shame because that's the time we grew up in, the 90s, early 90s, when people would call it what it was. Yeah. And so I'm just glad we live in a society now. I teach health. I teach health education, and I teach the stigmas involved with schizophrenia, with depression, with PTSD. And our kids have so much awareness now, so they can look after people and they can treat them a lot better than we got treated, or they got treated growing up. And yeah, that's my biggest guilt to this day, is that it wasn't their fault. And that's why I appreciate them for who they were.
And you mentioned the 90s, and I was born in the 90s and I grew up in the 2000s, and that was what society was back then. It was a different society. Like, I remember it as, when we had like kids come from multicultural other countries, we thought they were weird because we'd never seen them before, because we were, white Anglo-Saxon, schools, and then with these people come, it was society that, and I get it. I get it, Eve. Like, you grew up in a time, and I grew up in a time that was, technology didn't exist. You had different times of, you played with your mates out in the street. You went in the bush. You played hide and seek. It was a different time. Now kids go, "What do you mean you had dial-up internet back in the day? Like, what? You're so ancient." And it's like, well, that was what we had. It's a different time, and I'm glad now that kids today, the generations that are coming now, are better educated on everything that you've said with mental health, with, and people are more accepting now.
Yeah, Adam, absolutely. And do you know what? That comes with time. Like, it's everyone's first gig on life. We haven't been around that long, as a humanity. So we're learning along the way. And it's like, the past has happened, but we're still holding people today accountable for the past. Okay, so I've just faced something that really triggered me last year.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So, it happened when I was in high school. And I said, why did that happen? And my husband was reassuring me, like, just telling me, guys, that was the time. That's what they knew. And so, we try to move forward. And I closed this, and I got an apology that I needed. And that was enough. And it wasn't from the people who did it, but they acknowledged it. And for me, acknowledgement was enough.
Yeah.
But we can't go back and change history. We can't be held accountable every single day for the future of things that are happening in the past. It was what it was. Let's move forward. Let's learn from that, and let's make things different. Yeah, let's not, punish people for wanting to keep a culture or anything like that.
No, I love it. I think you're 100% correct in that. When I spoke to you about that incident, we're not going to talk about it on the podcast. No. That incident, it rattled you, and but the thing I loved about you, as soon as it happened, you were so quick in that you processed it and went, "Yep, I'm not a victim. It happened. How do I turn it into a positive? How do I turn that negative into a positive and have that post-traumatic event be, post-traumatic growth?" And that's what you've done, and that's what I loved about that whole situation and speaking to you. It's since that time, that's what it is, and what you're talking about, where we learn from history. We don't repeat it. We just need to learn from it. And, there seems to be these days we want to drag back to the past when, just move forward. Let's acknowledge it. Let's accept, okay, it happened, and let's not repeat it and move forward. And definitely. And so you mentioned that the army was your way out. Did you have any family members that had served in the military before you?
I did. My uncle, he'd joined. And so I kind of went, wow. And then he just left. You know what I mean? He was really important cog in our family wheel. Yeah, so he was a young guy, and he'd always help us out when situations would arise. Very violent, lots of fighting, especially on payday. Payday was a big one where we'd have street brawls. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can only laugh about it, but that's the type of life we had. And then he left, and I was like, where is he gone? He's gone to the army. And I was like, well, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, right. So that was really your green light to get out of where you were, and as you mentioned, Riverston.
Yeah,
I know Riverston really well. It hasn't changed very much. I mean, it has and it hasn't in the and
yeah.
no offense to anyone that lives in Riverston,
No,
but
no, no,
yeah,
no offense at all.
yeah.
Because I used to catch a train from Riverston to Parramatta.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's a hell of a hike.
It
One
is.
day, even at school, Adam, I ran from Riverston to Parramatta.
No way.
No, I'm not shitting you. I did 100%.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Righto. That's I take my hat off to you there. So you got out of Riverston, and then 1998 you joined the army. Talk me through the process back then, because as we said, internet doesn't exist. But do you walk into the recruiters and say,
I
"Hey, I want to join"? Talk me through
I
that
did.
process.
I did. We used to play a lot of sport at Parramatta Park. Boom, boom, boom. Walk down there, and right there on the corner of one of the main streets was the ADF recruiting. So every time I was going down there, I'd slip in some paperwork, and I have a big file, these big sports certificates going, yeah, I'm ready, I'm fit, I can go. Unfortunately, I couldn't go when I wanted to go. Like I said, I was wayward and I had a few problems.
Mm.
So drinking, I started drinking as a young teen. Even I must have been the fittest athletic drunk teenager out there. Okay, it's nothing to boast about. I don't drink now, 8 years sober. But yeah, so basically from there, with that, I joined. I signed up and I went, I'll do it, but here's a real kicker. I got into a fight and I got charged with assault causing actual bodily harm.
Yeah. Right.
So I was placed on a good behaviour bond for 1 year and I couldn't join when I wanted to. So I had to ride school out. Look, we're young and kids like me, I know that we can be problematic, but it's because things are happening in our lives that push us that way. So when I see a lot of these kids doing bad shit on TV and, adult crime, adult time, some of them deserve it, don't get me wrong. But it's the life that some of them have had. Do you know what I mean? Like me, like I am like completely different to that person I was when I was a kid. I was fighting to survive. I got into a punch up and I knew how to fight. So, I really cracked this girl. And I used to do that. I remember it being at school, someone bullying you, you'd fight them. You know what I mean? It wasn't you send a nasty text or anything like that. My friend was getting picked on for her hut shoes by this guy, and I ended up punching up with the guy and the Japanese teacher hitting me with the shoe. This is what I saw every Thursday, when it was payday. Everybody getting drunk and doing it, and that was their thing. And it wasn't until I actually kind of went into the army and had mentors. I had some really good mentors around me. I had some really shit people too, Adam. Do you know what I mean? But eventually when I got off this good behaviour bond, I made things happen. I made lots of mistakes still.
And that's, any young listener that listens to this, Eve, that, as a kid, and, I go into schools now and give talks to kids, and I often say to them that, from their early teens to their late 20s is probably one of the most challenging times of their lives, because you're trying to find where you fit, you're trying to find, your group, you're trying to find who you are.
Yeah.
And it is and I often say to them is, don't get caught up in the little things, that you are going to make mistakes, but and the things you worry about in your teens and 20s, when you hit your 30s, you go, why did I worry about that? Like, it was
Exactly.
it's not worth worrying about.
That's where the wisdom comes. It comes with time. We can't expect all our kids to have it now. We need to guide them. Like, I wish I had more guidance. I'm thankful that I didn't, because if you asked me if I would go back and change anything, one thing about my past, I wouldn't, because I would not be the person I am today, and I might not be surrounded by the people I'm surrounded with today, and I absolutely love them. If I wanted to go back and change something that could change everything I have now, it means I'm unhappy. I'm not unhappy.
No, you're not at all. Like, I love your daily quirks that you send, and you just, as I say, that's why I wanted to get you on, because you're just an absolute, like, I love it when you say, well, get up and get moving. Like, I don't give a shit. Stop your excuses. Get going. And it's like, yeah, right. You just said that to, just,
Yes, do it.
Yeah, that's right. What's out? Just do it. The Nike saying is just do it.
Oh,
And so
Nike, I'm free.
yeah. So so you join up and 1998 Kapuka. So you have your like you have your year of which would have absolutely been torture for you, like because I know your personality, I know what you're like, so that would have been absolute hell. And then finally you get in 1998, and it's different. Kapuka back then is very different. Like, and we're going to get onto your daughter has just recently passed out of Kapuka, and it's changed from when you went through. Talk me through Kapuka when you got there back in 1998, because it was a different time.
It was wild. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to say anything here to incriminate myself, but like I think we were one of the short courses and obviously a mixed platoon.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Oh God, Adam, I don't know if I can actually say we were a party platoon. I think on the march out day, bought one of the what do you call them? RIs, a bottle of whiskey, and me and a couple of the guys went down after we stole it back out of his locker. Went down to the weapon shed and drank it.
Oh, far out. Yeah,
And
right.
then we ended up still with the bed, and they called hallway, and one of the guys runs out with all the wrong shoes and stuff like that. Oh my God, it was, and like I had so much fun. It was so crazy. It was so hard, but just a different life. You know, it was one of the best times in my life. The mateship, the camaraderie, the just it was perfect. I loved it. I hated it, but I loved it.
So with that, you've already had so much more, you've been so resilient throughout your childhood into your early teens, and then you go to Kapuka, and a lot of the, other recruits that are coming there with you, for the first time they're facing and learning so much about themselves. What did you learn at Kapuka that carried you forward to where you are now? Like, apart from the partying, what did you
Time
take?
management, routine, that was really important. Attention to detail. So it was really important to have structure in your life. I didn't have structure. I had no one to tell me to go to school. Yeah, I had no one telling me to do homework. I go do whatever I wanted to. I'd party. I had no adult mentorship from home whatsoever. Yeah, so I just had this roof that I would go to, a housing commission house, siblings all over the place, and I had that structure, and from that routine, I've transferred it into my life today, and I was like, people need it. People need it. We are creatures of habit. Yes, so, daily exercise, loved it, running the 2.4, doing the push-ups, everything, loved everything about it, loved the PT. It was fantastic. So that's the biggest thing I can take away from there is that structure and that routine. Even the shittest soldier is better than a mediocre civilian.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because we have purpose. I'm just saying I've now been working in the civvy world for a little while, and that was probably one of the hardest adjustments. And I always say to myself when I got out, because I left the RAF, and look, I'm a fitness trainer, so I was always around people because that social, that emotional, that physical, mental, and religious, spiritual connection is so important. Yeah, so in the military, I feel like you cover those dimensions pretty easily. In civvy world, I don't know, just a lot of people whinging about stuff that you would be like, are you serious? Like, stop whinging. Like, you know what I mean? You're alive. You've got a job. You've got, pay the bills. You're not getting sent away for 6 months to be away from your family because you've got to go to one night camp or something. You know what I mean? Calm down.
Yeah, it's not as bad as you think, and
no, but it always is, apparently.
So when you marched out, did you bring the family down to see you march out?
No, I was an orphan.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I was one of those orphans. March out day. I don't think I was an absolute shit fight, but I was, but no, I didn't have the family there, so I was an orphan. Mum, dad didn't come down. They couldn't come down. Sisters couldn't. So March out day, I did that. I remember hanging around the lines, putting a piece or a couple of pieces of toast on, forgetting about it, setting the alarms off, and then everyone going.
Oh,
Oh
wow.
God.
So,
I was that. Yeah. There was also when they called, look, okay, I don't laugh at people's disability. I've got a brother who's got Cough and Lowry of intellectually disabled family members. Okay. But when they call hallway, they called hallway 21. And I could not contain myself because we had this one guy and he started, and it was the first time I'd heard him speak. And I couldn't contain myself. I pissed myself. Absolutely pissed myself laughing. And then I ended up, it was the first day that we could go to Atkins to buy chocolates and stuff. Guess where? Recruit Georgie was in the shitters, scrubbing it with a toothbrush. And then all the guys were with me as well. They couldn't stop laughing. And they said, do you think it's funny laughing at someone's disability? I do not.
yeah. Yeah, no,
I do
no,
not.
100%.
But it was the army, you know what I mean? And man, we pulled the piss out of everything, So it was a little bit different to Sydney, and being a teacher and whatnot, you respect everybody these days. But I'm talking, you can't change what happened in the 90s. And you can tell those stories, but that was like, there was a lot of things. Every time there was trouble, I was in the thick of it.
And what that shows is, and I know it too, being a first responder, is that black humor. You've got to, and I know you, Eve, like I've known you for a while now, and you are not that person at all. Like that was the 90s. That was, it was the culture, and back then it was accepted. Like that was the thing.
Adam, I'm the only dark skin in my family, so I've got dark olive skin. And my sisters were that mean, they used to call me an ABC. I'm not going to say what that is, but if anyone grew up in the 90s, they're going to know what that is. I'll tell you off air. Right? And that was for my own family. What I'm like, and I know it's, sticks and stones may break your bones and names will never hurt, but names do hurt. You know what I mean?
100%.
Me laughing at someone or someone calling me an ABC or something like that, it does hurt. 100%. I grew up always wanting to have fairer skin. Not looking like a wog.
And I'd rather have your skin, being that I'm white.
My husband says to me, we're never happy with what we have because someone makes us feel insecure about ourselves somewhere along the lines. You know what I mean? I hated it. I hated being ethnic looking. I wanted to look like an Aussie.
But you're as Aussie as they come, which
first generation Aussie.
That's it. And that's the thing. So you finish your time. You set you set the smoke alarms off in the hallway 21, and then where do you go if you mentioned you're a PTI? Where do you go for your mission appointment?
No. I was a truckie first. Adam.
Oh, you're a truckie, right?
Yes, far on away, equal to the task. I was a truckie and I got posted to 1 HSB in Sydney.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And Timor was ticking over, and guess what? Private Georgie does. She gets herself knocked up. Marries the absolute wrong man. This is what I'm saying. Like in the army, like when you're young, there's something called tall poppy syndrome. A lot of people were aware. I got myself into a predicament that lasted for many years. I wouldn't go back and change it. Had a beautiful daughter, my first true love. Do you know what I mean? But fresh meat was the term used.
Yeah.
So I came in, righto, attractive young girl. Righto, got used to my skin by then. And so pregnant and having a baby at 20, 1 HSB, great unit. Glad there was a lot of females there, so I was lucky to put in a unit where there was a lot of females. I couldn't imagine being put into so back then it didn't happen as much as it's happening now because of the equal opportunities, rightly so. Women deserve to be where they want to be. But so HSB as a truckie.
Yeah, right. Yes. So as a truckie, and then you mentioned you have a daughter at 20, which is just, you like think now like your daughter is, what, she's 20, your middle daughter's 20 or?
26. Tyler Evie's 26.
Yeah, and your daughter Izzy, who's in the army as well, she's 20. She's 20.
And if she came home and told me she was pregnant, I do jiu-jitsu. I'd wring that girl's neck. I want her to live. I wouldn't change my life, but I want these young people to live. Yeah. I want you to be able to afford to have a baby. Yeah. Not financially, but mentally and spiritually. Yeah. Because it stops you from doing some of the things and you'll put it off and you don't know if you'll get back to it.
Yeah. And you would have learned so much. And basically you were like that changed your path, didn't it? Because you, as you said, East Timor was kicking off in '99.
Yeah, everyone from my unit went.
Yeah.
Even my uncle went because I got posted to his unit.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, he was a QE, so he was doing the bagging and tagging stuff over there. So yeah, everyone from my unit went, and I didn't. I stayed back. I was pregnant.
That would have been a kick in the guts for you, like that.
Oh, literally, it was, but it was the best thing that happened to me because from that point on, when I saw that little girl, my whole life changed. It wasn't about me; it was about her and to give her everything that I needed. So it was how I looked at it. Like, the life I had, I did not want her to have. So I did everything to be there for her.
So with that, you have your oldest daughter, and then do you stay as a truckie, or then you?
Yeah, I'm still a truckie. I do my CFL course, combat fitness leader, predominantly take a lot of PE. Unfortunately, I couldn't go down that path because the father of my child was in that stream. There was a lot of issues, and I hope it's changed. I hope the Army has changed because the things that I faced, like as a young woman of domestic violence in the military, I would get an ABO out. I would get convinced by certain sergeants and that's not the right thing to do because my ex then couldn't be AIRN compliant because he couldn't shoot his rifle. He couldn't get deployable because I had an ABO back out there. So I was convinced to drop them. So it was up and down, very much emotional abuse, very much physical abuse. So a chapter of my life that nearly broke me. It was the worst experience I had. I remember Warren RSM, Blackwell. So Warren's at Blackwell. He would look after me, but he left. And then when he left, it just I got forgotten. And it was just a really tough time. Very, I found myself on medication then as well, having a baby and dealing with the baby blues.
So what you're saying, Eve? Did you have postnatal depression?
Yes, and it was onset because of the relationship that I had at the time. It was very abusive. I remember, and I'm going to openly say this, and I don't know how, and this could have happened to me in the Army, Adam. Right, I was living in a defence house. Yeah, my ex would come over. I woke up because he strangled me. I woke up, my blood vessels in my eye were burst, and I pissed myself.
Wow.
Yeah, and the police had come over. I get an ABO out for that. Yeah, okay, and then drop the ABO. And I'm a 19, 20-year-old. His mates would look at me like I was making that shit up.
And you can't make up, up.
There's records of it. I got my medical docs back. Right, and I was looking through them, and one of them where I got hit on the head with a baseball bat by my disabled brother because I was concussed, and I was at the RAP at 1 HSB.
Far out, yeah.
You know what I mean? And stuff like that happened, in the early 2000s. I'm hoping it doesn't exist anymore, and that's my story. I've grown from it. I never got defeated. Yeah, I had moments of darkness, moments of sunshine, and I just keep going because I love life and I love living.
So in that dark time that you talk about with, you've just become a new mum, your ex-husband is, a piece of shit. My words, not yours. I'll say that.
No.
Yeah, a piece of shit. Did it get dark, Eve, that you almost succumbed, or because you love life, I know you now, you have such a positive outlook on life. Did it get dark at that point?
Adam, it did. And in my records, it should have it there that I went to the RAP with slit wrists. Yeah, I didn't want to live. I was like, this, I just can't do it. I cannot do it. And this was just when I was, kind of trying to identity. I had no identity, so I didn't want to live at one point. Yeah, and it's not because I had a trauma wartime event PTSD isn't just associated with war, and that's one of the biggest misconceptions. It's associated with things that happen to you in life, my wayward childhood, foster care, domestic violence, marriage, so stuff like that. So it was triggering me, and I was seeking help. I was going to see someone. I was on the medication. It wasn't until somehow, some way, I got myself free from my ex that I wanted to survive.
And with that, you like back then in the 90s, Eve, like you putting your hand up to, ask for help. Like that's extremely brave, because back then, mental health wasn't spoken about. Like it was just suck it up, buttercup, or grab a bag of concrete and harden up. Like for you to come forward and go, hey, I need help. Very brave, very, very brave.
That's why I've survived, though, Adam. You know what I mean? Because I'm not afraid to ask for help. Ego for men is very hard. Self-esteem for women is very hard. Do you know what I mean? Like I used to say, I didn't care if he hit me. I just wish he'd stop calling me ugly and I look like a boy and stuff like that. I just didn't want him to say things like that. I prefer the beating. Do you know what I mean? So that's how I was living then for a long time. Yeah. So it was 3 years. I think it was eventually when they posted him, and thank God they did. You know what I mean? So that was a huge thing.
So, and I like, and we'll get to that where that marriage ended in a minute. But I want to highlight. Everyone knows 9/11. What do you remember of that day? And, did you think that, you meet your future husband, Scott, and, he would go on deployments over to the Middle East? And what do you remember of 9/11?
I actually was at Richmond. Yeah, I was at the dentist. So I wasn't doing anything special, but I do remember the day. I can tell you, like, ask me another day. Ask me any other day. I won't know what I was doing.
Yeah. But
I do, because it was such a tremendous thing, to happen to the world, and in such a negative way.
And it changed. Well, basically, the world's never been the same since. And as you say, most people know exactly where they were on that day. But any other day, exactly, you say, well, what was I doing? I don't know. But that day, you knew where you were. And then, so that happens. And then that shitty marriage, you finally get out of it. You've got your little daughter. And then when do you start going down the PTI path? And fitness was really it's your, like, you live, breathe it now. It's who you are. When did you start going to that path, and when did you meet Scott?
Okay. So I was CFL. I was posted to DFCE, a non-core. So I went in there as a detainee instructor. So that was shift work, and I did a lot of PT with the detainees, and that's where I actually got my Australia Day medallion.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
I'm going to bring that up. I'll tell you why, because my husband doesn't think I'm funny at all. But in that award, it actually says that because of my humour, that I was able to overcome adversities. And a lot of people in DFCE, I know we think MPs are not so nice. Okay. They helped me. They helped me when I changed my name. Yeah, my married name back to my maiden name, Georgie. They helped me block this person out of my life, which was really important. I was about to go on my PTI course in the Army, but I got Keybox disease in my right wrist. So the luminate bone stopped. Yeah, so it stopped receiving blood, and basically I have a pin in it now. So that's why I know everyone thinks I'm tough, but that's why I do all my push-ups on my knuckles. And it's all around the same time. I was escorting, so I'm getting to Scott, I was escorting a detainee down to get a haircut. And I'm sitting outside with Dimo. Dimo's my mate. And we're sitting there having a chat. And this fella walks past me in a pair of New South Wales, and I say New South Wales because he loves his rugby league shorts. And I said to Dimo, check out the legs on that dude. And then he walks past, then he circles around. I didn't know he was circling around to look at my name tag. But he circles around and he goes, do you guys know this Warren of Sabello? I probably slouched at him. And Dimo starts talking to him. The next day, I get an email. Are you the girl that was down the barber shop? And I'm like, yes. He goes, do you want to go out with me? And Jim goes, go for it. Go for it. Do you know what is he going to do? You know, he's in the army. And I was like, oh, I've seen some shit go wrong in the army.
Yeah,
And then we were so inseparable from that date onwards. We've become best friends. The army's a hell of a place for marriage. You know what I mean? You meet the wrong person, you meet the right person. Infidelity, you see, infidelity, the stuff where it's there. You know what I mean? But he was my anchor since the day dot.
And you're still together now. Like
we are still together now. Do you know why? I took him home to see my family, right? Because a lot of people knew I was vulnerable, right? So I took him home to see my family. And instead of going, I can take advantage of this girl, he goes, oh, my God, you're amazing. Look at how far you've come. Look what you got out of. And for the first time in my life, I was like, I'm awesome. Look what I've done. You know what I mean? I was so embarrassed about it all. And you know, I'd take people there and they'd see it and they'd see a way to make me a victim or take advantage of me. But not this guy. There's a lot of good guys out there. You know what I mean? And he's put up with some shit with me because I'm crazy.
I don't know about that one, but yeah, I know I've known you for a while, so I know. Crazy. I wouldn't say crazy. I'd say fun. Fun is fun.
You know, that's the thing. I still want to be fun. Like I could sit here and go, shit, my life sucks. Poor me. But it was like, I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
I'm going to use it because I never want to be there. We're always just one decision away from the right or the wrong. You know what I mean? And losing it all. I nearly lost it all. I nearly lost my life.
And what I love about you is, and this is the thing that I've always loved about you, is that you've never ever played the victim. You have always you've always gone, it's a shit situation. I had a shit upbringing. I've had shit go wrong in my life, but I'm not a victim, and I'm gonna have that post-traumatic growth. That's the whole thing of your story, is that you have turned every bit of adversity that you've ever faced. You've been resilient and you've pushed. And honestly, I just sit here and every time I watch whatever you post, or it's just like I sit here as a friend going, I'm just like one of your biggest supporters, because I know that you cop shit. I know that people still give it to you to this day, and we spoke about it off air. It's because they've got their own insecurities, because they but that's not you. You will always cheer people on to go, mate, go for
absolutely.
it. Because you know what it's like being on the other end. You've seen the good and the bad of life.
Yeah, and like I've never been shielded from the bad, you know, and I get it. I get why people people say that marijuana is the gateway drug or something. You know, that's once you have that little one, you get hooked. Trauma is the gateway drug. Unhealed trauma.
Yep.
People that are running away, you know, from hurt. And so I haven't embraced it, but I've acknowledged it. You've got to acknowledge it, and you've got to be able to reflect on it. Self-awareness is the biggest thing. Yep. Like when you go, oh, you can't say that because that triggers me. It's not someone else's responsibility to know what's going to trigger you. It's you to be aware. And if you are aware, you can avoid that situation. There's certain things I don't do. There's certain people I can't see. There's certain songs I can't listen to because it triggers me about my family. Yeah, and I break down. And if I do have a breakdown, I have a breakdown. I get up. I go to the gym, I go for a run, I look for my vice to do something.
And as I said, I wouldn't mess with you because you're a fighter and you hit the mats. Like, so you hit the mats. So it's like, don't mess with Eve because she can fuck you up. So.
I can in so many ways, you know, especially, look, I don't fight the big guys anymore. Because of my hip, I've had it replaced 3.5 months ago, but that's another story. But look, I can't tell anybody that has been in the army that is facing some kind of emotional trauma how important the mats are. Scott and I, ex-army and I'm RAF, he's ex-army. He wouldn't be RAF. He'd be upset if I said that. And we run an academy, a jiu-jitsu academy in Sale, Frontline, and we bring the same camaraderie, the same banter, probably politically incorrect at times. But I did say to my team, if you ever tell me that I've made a joke that offends you, I'll just won't make that joke while you're there. Like, we're humans. We don't say anything that singles anyone out. We don't bastardize. We have fun. When you are rolling at them, you do not think about one problem in the world except the situation you are in right now and how to get out of it, because you don't want to be choked the flip out. Like the mateship, I can't. The problem maybe some people will face is the belt system. The fact that when you go there, you're a white belt. You know what I mean? You don't want to be told what to do by someone that has a belt. So being ex-military.
Yep.
But it has that same vibe. And it's been really good for Scott and I. Scott's got his own stories, from, going to Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And I've seen him grow, and I see what the mats do for him, because PTSD is a real thing. Yeah. So we need to find ways that aren't just medication. Yeah. We don't want to just heavily medicate people so they're not themselves, because you lose yourself. So you've got to find advice in the gym, the running, the jiu-jitsu, the coaching, the camaraderie, the socialization. It's important. And I think that's been a godsend in our relationship for both of us.
100%. And we're going to talk. So now this is where, you've segued that beautifully to, so you and Scott get together. You start building a life together that you've continually built from that day forward that you first met and to this current day. And Scott is, he's he's attached to the Special Forces and deploys over with Special Forces over to, you mentioned Iraq in 2006. And this is the part that, being the wife and a partner of your husband who is deployed overseas, you've got young kids, you're trying to keep the day-to-day life, moving forward as normal as can be. And, did you and Scott, on his first deployment, did you ever have that talk of, well, what happens if you don't come back?
He made a video for me.
And how was that? How was it being at home and supporting him, overseas, and trying to keep it all together at home?
It was tough. It was really, really tough. Like I said, I took Scott back to my family to meet them. And in that time that we got married and we had Isabella, our first child together, in that deployment era, my sister had lost her child to DOCS, to public community service. So I had taken young Emily in for a little while, for as long as I could. But again, that was triggering for me because that's the life we had and I didn't want to do it. But I kept Emily with me for as long as I could. While Scott was in Iraq, my dad had a heart attack and my brother's disabled. So my brother had nowhere to go. So I moved my brother in with me as well. So at that time, I was from DFCE, I moved to Army Reserves. I got out because they made me medical U3 or something because of my wrist. So I went Army Reserves and we moved up to RAF Base Williamtown where Scott started his JTAC journey. So he went over there, and through that, there was one thing I did for him every week. I sent him a package, and I think I sent him the whole series of Soprano. You know what I mean? I knew that I couldn't talk to him whenever I wanted to. So I gave him that grace of, don't stress about me. I've got this shit under control. You're away. You're deployed. Your money will be there when you get back, boy. Okay, I'm not going to go spend it, buy a pool, put it in a DHA house. Heard those stories. But I was there. I would have loved to have done what he has done because it's heroic. Jesus Christ, I can't say that word. You know what I mean? To go away and, defend our country and fight for our freedom. I didn't get that opportunity because I was the backbone. Like if you see a house, the structure, the foundation, I saw myself as that. I needed to be there for my kids. I needed to be there for him. Yeah, and I needed to be there for my brother. I needed to be there for my niece. I needed to be there for my sister. We put her into rehab twice, and she left. Scott, before he went and did that himself. Like, this guy took on my family like it was his own. Yeah, so I knew there was a possibility of him not coming back, but I couldn't give up because I had to. Like, I didn't have what everybody else had. I had to make everything right. I had a war within myself. So, it's always a little bit sad on Anzac Day when I put my little 10-year Army medal on. That's all I got. And there's a little bit of shame with that, but I wouldn't change it. I was the backbone. I have an important role in my family, and that was to be there for him, to make sure he came back not broken. When he got back in the door, I treat him exactly like to say, I can't afford you broken. I've got too many broken people around me. So man up. And I don't care if you say that's toxic masculinity. We're a team. You've got your job. I've got mine. I'll be there for you. You be there for me. And that's how it always rolled.
And with that, he's deployed over there. You're speaking to him sporadically when you can, and we'll get to Afghanistan in a minute because that's a whole different war zone compared. Like, Iraq was, there was casualties and things that were happening, but Iraq was very different to Afghanistan, and you guys have that. And this is what the civilian public don't get it, Eve, is when you're hugging and saying goodbye when they're leaving, you don't know if they're coming back. So, and like, I'm sure when Scott was on deployment that he couldn't tell you, well, babe, the rocket's coming in, this is happening, we've had a few close calls here, like, because it's all secret. You can't, so you've got, as you say, you've got to be that backbone, and like, you're just praying that he comes home safe because he's your world now. Like, and like you mentioned, you've had a daughter, like, all these things. So you want him to come back. And so how long was his first trip? Was that 6 months?
Oh, I can't remember, Adam, to be quiet. I don't want to say something that's not right. So it was long enough because I think you do the pre-deployment training as well, which was a lot of time.
Yep.
So I think he was up in Queensland doing something there. Don't quote me. Please don't quote me, okay? So if I'm wrong, you don't need to assassinate me, anybody, okay? Oh, God, yeah. So, look, he was off there doing that, and, my house was pretty full with, like I said, my brother, my niece, Izzy, Tyler, me. He was working at RAF Base Williamtown. He came back, and I was thankful for that. So, you know what I mean? Like, he went over there. He did what he needed to do for our country. That makes me proud. That makes me proud of everyone that's done it for the country, So when I see people burning the Australian flag or wanting to change things or doing things on Anzac Day that tarnish the veterans and the Anzacs, it upsets me because these people put their body on the line for the freedoms that you have today from the get-go, from every war Australia has participated in. And I don't think the Army gets enough recognition for that. One day a year, you know what I mean? I think that our veterans deserve a lot more.
I 100% agree. Absolutely. And Eve, you won't, I'm not going to say anything more because I agree with you. And you mentioned that, in 2008, you discharged from the Army only for a short time.
Yes.
And then you still had that willingness to serve. And you got in the RAF, and all right. So we're not taking it away from how different was your basic training in the RAF compared to.
Oh, I didn't do the basic training.
Oh,
I transferred straight over. I was such a legend. No, I didn't know basic training. They just took me. In fact, I got to say it again. My husband's getting all this credit here.
Yeah.
He met this PDI called Mick Fuller. At RAF Base Williamtown, and the RAF was screaming for PTs. I was supposed to go on my PTI course, just before I left DFCE, but got made med class U3. You know what I mean? So I chopped my move to Mornington, and then came up here with Scott and said, this is going to be my next chapter. I like this guy enough to give up my career. And, no regrets. So he met this guy called Mick Fuller. And then I went to the base one day, did a whole array of fitness tests, went to Richmond, did fitness tests. And before I knew it, I was in HMA Cerberus.
Yeah,
I was
right.
at HMA service, and it was literally weeks, I think, because I was doing all the testing while Scott was away, when Scott was still in Iraq.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
right.
He'd hooked this up with, he teed it up with Mick Fuller because he goes, you know what, Eve, I think you should do it. I think you should do it. I think you should be a PDI in the RAF. This is your chance. So I get down, yeah. So basically, he gets back, and I'm packing up to go.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, that was really really hard for him. I was there for him. Listen to this guy, my handicapped brother, my niece, Tyler Eve, his eldest daughter, Isabella, his youngest daughter. This guy gets back from Iraq, transitions into another war, okay, a different war, and he's working at the same time. Do you think this guy had any chance or any moment to reflect on, what happened over there? He
No.
kept so busy, okay, and he just jumped into it. No questions asked to let me go and do what I needed to do. That was the longest time I spent away from my kids. As soon as he dropped me off in Melbourne, I rang up crying my eyes out going, I'm packing the car up. I'm coming home. I cannot leave you guys. He's like, you will stay there. You will stay there. Do not come home. And I went to sleep the next day. I got up, did the first day, and the anxiety, it chilled a bit. You know what I mean? So, and also getting into the stream of PTIs as well was really making me anxious. But I did it. I stayed. I did every weekend. I would fly home by 2 weekends on a 6-month course to do my womanly duties, clean the house, buy the groceries, call me #TradWife. We had roles. Both of us excelled in different things. Yeah. Mine was the house, yeah, the backbone, and his was the war stuff. But we were there for each other. We picked the slack up where one of us lacks. You know what I mean? He's good at cleaning now. I've taught him well.
You know what? I can just imagine now Scott being clean. Like, I can just picture it because you have trained him well because I can just picture him, but that's the thing. Like, as you say, like everyone's got a role, everyone's got a
Yeah.
job. And so and did you find that, like people give, Army give RAF shit and they give, the Navy shit and all services that give each other crap. How did you find, when going from the Army to the RAF? Was it totally different?
Pleasant. People, you know what I mean? They don't being in their bonnet, nothing to prove. It's just a lot nicer. I like the RAF, I can't fault it. But again, ego, self-esteem, all that, and it's banter. If it's banter, it's fun. I've had rappy guys from jiu-jitsu come from rappies from here in Sal come and do jiu-jitsu. Nice guys, but geez, we pull the piss out of them. Oh,
Yeah.
look at you, rappy, ha 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 ha.
Hey, as most Raffis say, Eve, they go, you have a choice. You
Yeah, but
chose.
it's only a reward if you're not on it.
That's
So do
right.
you think the army's not pissed off at the RAF? Yeah, for the lifestyle they lead. Oh my God.
That's
Yes,
right.
it's like seriously. When you ask a civilian out there, and they hold the RAF and the army in the same regard. It's only the army that shit cans everybody.
Well, what's the old saying? The Army sleep under the stars, the
Yeah,
Navy navigate by the stars, and the Air Force they choose of the class the stars of the hotel or something, whatever it is. Like like
yeah. Look, I can't fault the army. I was there. I did try to convince my daughter to go to the RAF. I said the RAF is the way to go. It's more relatable to the real world. Do you know
Mm,
what I mean? It's so people were just it's like they're taking a chill pill. It's
yeah,
like, come on down.
yeah. So
It's like, you know what I mean? Like they're in the army, there's a lot of people that power trip off rank. Oh my God. Do you know what I mean? They absolutely power trip of that rank. I'm like, okay, I haven't told you to fuck off right now because you're a sergeant. But if you were out of that uniform and I saw you in CV Street, I would, and we would not be friends.
yeah, and it's a funny thing that you say that a lot of people hold on to, rank is important or, but it's, at the end of the day, it's a job. Like
Yeah.
you do your job, you do it to the best of your ability. And so you join, you get through that really challenging period of your life that, like, and as I say, this is why I wanted to get you on because it doesn't finish there. There's more challenges that you face. And in 2010, you're now in the RAF. You're now
Yeah.
doing your career, which Scott is absolutely supporting you in what you're doing. And then Scott deploys to Afghanistan. Afghanistan it's a different deployment. At this stage, Afghanistan is full swing. We are losing guys left, right, and center. On this deployment, were you more worried than his 2006 trip that he might not come back?
I think I was just as worried. I was. And I was heavily pregnant. I actually gave birth to my son 2 months early because of the stress.
Wow.
So I was working. I had some issues, and basically I was in hospital, and like I had no family. Do you know what I mean? So I still had my brother. I still had Emily. I had Izzy, I had Tyler. Now I was going to have Harley. You know what I mean? I'm working full time. That's the beauty of the rap. It's very understanding. But yeah, so at 32 weeks, my forwarders broke, and he's
Wow.
over in Afghanistan. You know what I mean? So he's obviously worried. And then I end up with an infection, so they have to remove Harley. So they induced my labour at 32 weeks. And he's in Afghanistan. There's nothing you can do. So I had no one to take him with me except my 12-year-old daughter. I thought this is a good learning opportunity for you. This is going to put you off having kids. Come in here with me, girl. Scott's brother, Matthew, he did come up at the time and support me after Harley was born. So, it was good that Scott's family's always been there for me. So Lockie and Matt had come up several times.
Mm.
But, yeah, so Harley was put in ICU, and they did let Scott come home because it was on and off with Harley. I just remember my daughter, God, what the nurse got really pissed off at her because all she was watching was The Simpsons. You know what I mean? Well, I put whatever you want on Dale while I was going into labour, and then she's sitting at the end of my legs, and she's there, and then the baby starts coming. She runs up to my shoulder, and I had this really, really, really nice OBG, Russian lady, awesome. And she let Tyler cut the cord.
Oh,
They said,
wow.
we don't normally do this, but under your circumstance, you have a family in here, your husband's in a war. I didn't cry about it. It is what it is. Do you know what I mean? And I just thought Tyler and Harley H-Man have been like best buds ever since. You know what I mean? She convinced him he was born in a robot factory. You know that, Adam.
And where's Izzy? Is she with you as well?
Izzy is over at a friend's place.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Izzy's the wild child. We can't bring her into a hospital.
She's, you know what? And I've seen her now, and she is you to a T. She is.
Oh, she is.
Yeah.
She annoys the crap out of me. Annoys me.
So that Scott misses that, and that's that, like, because he was there for the birth of Izzy, or so he for that, he's on deployment, he's doing what he does. That would be hard because like he's missing the birth of his son, like, and that's hard for you because you want your husband there. He's not there to.
It was part of the job, Adam. I knew it. You know what I mean? And that's like, like I said, when he's wearing his shiny medals, he's earned them. You know what I mean? And like, I don't envy the medals because of the time that he lost with the kids. Yep. Like, and a lot of fathers and mothers out there that wear those shiny medals, that's what you should be seeing, what they've given up to get it. A lot of people just see them, the medals, but it's what did you give up to go, and I'd never spend a day away from my son, and I wouldn't change that. So I like, when I'm sitting there putting on my 110-year medal, well, you know what I mean? My medals are there. My medals are my kids. They're not what you guys see. Like, do you think it was easy doing this by myself? And I always think about, like, I didn't deploy. I'm not really a soldier. I'm not really a veteran. Why? Do you know what I mean? Like, I was a wife of someone that did. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I was like the glue that kept us together. Do you know how many people split on deployments? Do you know how many people split after deployments?
Yep.
Deployments, it's insane. I mean, they need to start revealing the data because the support networks aren't there, but I've always been there for him because nobody owes you anything. No, that's the thing. But when people look after you, I feel like like I owe them.
Mm.
Do you know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to get you on because, I want to highlight the other side to
Yeah,
what you're going through, what the guys go through, what they go through on deployment, but what you go through. And recently I had Emma Donaldson on the podcast and it was amazing. Like she had her own career, very similar to you, joined the military, and then met Mark, and then she had to stop her career because his career was it was the more he was in the SAS,
yeah,
and so she had to step away and then throw in 7 deployments and then throw in a Victoria Cross.
yeah,
It's different, and it's the same for you. It's different. Like this
yeah.
is you're still trying to have a career, be a full-time mum, and keep it all together at home. And did you have support of like being that that you could turn to the wives and the girlfriends of the guys that were over there, or not really?
No, no, because I was at a RAF base.
Yeah,
Do you know
right.
what I mean? So, like I've always had my people through sport stuff. So when I was actually on maternity leave while Scott was away, I actually started something called Hua Fitness. So I moved to Tanilba Bay. We bought a house in Tanilba Bay, and I met some of the best women ever. I've got a lot of great women friends now, but it's very hard. Well, females, because we always sit there and say females bring females up, but females are the first to tear a female down.
Oh
Do
yeah.
you know what I mean? They're first to call out something on them that they don't like.
Mm-hmm.
We pretend, that it doesn't happen. Oh yeah, we've got this sisterhood shit going on. It's not true. Righto, they're vicious. I get a lot of support from males. I have a lot of male friends. I find them easy to talk to. I wish that more females and males could be friends without anyone thinking that there was something going on.
Yeah.
I'm a massive tomboy. So with all the sports and stuff that I do, I'm a very pretty tomboy. Do you know what I
You
mean?
are? Yes, yes. I'll put it
Yeah,
out
but
there. Yes, you are.
look, I'm thankful I grew up where I grew up, because if
Yeah.
I was behaved the way I did as a teenager right now, I don't know who or what someone would have convinced me to be today,
Oh yeah.
other than a tomboy. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
But I found a group of people that I was training, because I was a PDI, so I was teaching Les Mills body pump. I teach military circuits, boot camp, CrossFit started to come in. Do you know what I mean? So doing things like that, and they were the people I connected to.
Mm. They were your tribe. They were your people.
Yeah, my tribe has always been people I've met along the way.
Mm.
I've got family, but like I said, it's so triggering to see them because I'm still healing. Like I'm aware. I'm aware. I don't spend Christmas with my sisters, which is sad. I love my sisters. I don't spend Christmas with my brother. I will spend Christmas, with people I've met like Frontline or whatnot, and they've become my family. They say blood's thicker than water, but there's so much toxic shit in families that you don't need to go and ruin every Christmas, or you don't need to fight, because I used to do that a lot. Because of my mum, we go see her family and everyone would call her crazy. She'd get drunk, she'd spin out, blame everybody for what they used to do to her, and then we'd end up fighting. So I don't do that anymore. I do what makes me happy, and it's the friends I've made along the way, like the girls in Tanilba Bay, Belle Miller, yeah, Leanne, yeah, so
Yeah.
shout out.
And this is the thing, like like, and that's what I've loved about you through the whole journey, the whole process. And you and I met through fitness as well. Like that's and we've become like you often say, hey Ads, haven't seen your post for a while, mate. What's going on? Like, and you hold me accountable, which I love it because we've got to hold each other accountable, and
We do.
that's what life is,
Call
and
a spade a spade. Do you know
that's
what I mean? Like when I'm in jits and I say, guys, roll. It's free rolling today. If you don't like someone, tell them you don't want to roll with them. Tell them why. You know what I mean? Like it's not being mean. It's you've got to approach it. One thing the military taught me, I love this. Conflict resolution is resolved best at the lowest level. Don't go and whinge to every other person, Tom, Dick, and Harry, about how shit, someone is. Go speak to them, fix it. Do you know what I mean? People don't have the balls to do that, So
No. No, they don't. And well, I mean, you've only got to see it. We're going to get to your teaching in a little bit down the track in the podcast, but you only see it now in teaching, and you see it in the playground with kids, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But in 2011, so Scott comes back from his deployment, and this is, he's trying to process what he's seen over there again, and then you leave the full-time RAF and you go to reserves until 2018. What made you transition to step away from that full time and go to reserves?
Precedent. So Scott's career took over mine, and I was okay with that. You know what I mean? Because I didn't just have one job. I wasn't just the PTI. Yeah, and even the military. The first hat, boom, that I would put on would be mum and wife. First and foremost, that is my one big responsibility. No matter where I was, that's who I was. So he got offered a job in Abu Dhabi. And even though I had the best job in the world, living the dream, you know what I mean? I supported him. He goes, look, well, it's a risk. He got out after 17 years and left. And I said, you know what? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Let's give it a go. We've always lived safe. Yeah, because we know what can happen when you don't. We've made mistakes since that Abu Dhabi chapter back home with jobs and stuff like that. But you're still going to miss 100% of the shots you don't take. I'd rather see someone try something, run a business and fail than not. So we went over there and, it was a culture shock. He was working alongside as a contractor, I guess, with the UAE military. He knows to what degree. It's his story to tell, not mine. So, if you ever chat with him, he'll be happy to fill you in, or he won't. I don't know. But, so we went over there and life just was crazy. I mean, we're going 2011. We kind of had that huge kind of Islamic war going on.
Yeah.
Culture. I was, for the first 3 months, absolutely culture shocked because I wasn't used to it. I wanted to go home. I was stressed, but I adapted. You know what I mean? Because guess where Scott took me the second day? Gold's Gym. Got me a job in there as fitness manager. So I'm taking classes, ladies only classes. And I once I got embedded in it, into the culture, I realized how wonderful it was. Like, I've never lived in a place that I love so much. The UAE was absolutely fantastic. Great opportunity for us. It worked out well. We stayed there. I was there for 8.5 years. Scott was there for 10. And I did a lot of things because no matter where I am, I want to be my best. So a lot of wonderful opportunities presented in the UAE, the Guinness World Records, ultra marathon running, skydiving, buying fancy cars like Hummers and Dodge. Can't afford them anymore, but...
Well, we're going to talk about this right now because you've segued again beautifully, and you haven't got the questions at all in front of you.
No.
But this is segued beautifully. So you have a love of fitness, and as I mentioned at the start of the podcast, you're a 16 times Guinness World Record holder with feats that have pushed you to the boundaries and human endurance. Just a few of your achievements I want to highlight here, and I'll let you tell the story of them all because there is a story behind this. So most pull-ups in 24 hours, most pull-ups in an hour, most knuckle push-ups in 24 hours.
Still up.
Most knuckle push-ups in 1 hour for a female. Most burpees in 24 hours, which you can absolutely have. You can have your burpees. They suck. Yeah. Fastest marathon carry, a 20 kilo pack for a female. Talk me through these and how these came about. And for you, they're not just records. They were your mission. And talk me through the mindset to achieve them and this was your purpose, and what did you learn about yourself as you put yourself through the pain and coming out the other side?
Oh, it all, like, to get to the start of this, it all started with a Dubai Fitness Challenge. So they did this Dubai Fitness Challenge, head down there, compete, prize money 50,000, then they double it to 100,000. And I went down there and I won. I was the first ever Dubai Fitness champion female. Yeah, and it was because where I was, the resources. Yeah, the Guinness World Records. Again, I took my cool fitness business over there and I started working at the New York University. And, I realized I could do a shit ton of push-ups. So my kids are going to GEMS American Academy School and they need bleachers. The things you sit down on and when you're watching sport. So I went, okay, I'll do a fundraising mission here and this was just for the alternative book of records to raise money for bleachers. And I did that and I was able to do like 316 consecutive push-ups without breaking, you know what I mean, in 15 minutes or something like that. Look, don't quote me. I can't even remember because I've done so many. Both. But yeah, so I did a shit ton of push-ups and I did it with my kids at their school. Yeah. So I loved it. I was like, wow, it's only push-ups, but I achieved something and got something back from it. Do you know what I mean? I brought the community together and I was able to give the kids something. And that's kind of where it all started, Because I do fitness, I mix up with a lot of people from different avenues and walks of life, a lot of school teachers, a lot of people that are in project management and stuff like that, especially in the UAE, even CEOs will come to your classes, So it was all about networking. So from that one, I got put in the paper. I think it was also I got put in the paper like for the Dubai Fitness Championships. And I had a high-profile client reach out to me going, I want you to train me. So I was training this wonderful lady daily. So she became my morning job and New York University became my PM job. So I wasn't so upset with what I lost with the RAF because I made up for it straight away. Within the year, I found myself, after that first 3 months. And so, she was connected to the people that own Al Wada Mall, right? So basically, we set up a 24-hour push-up challenge. And I'm like, well, I need to do it for a reason. And there was this lovely lady called Maria Christina, and she is running a foundation for females in Dhaka, in Bangladesh. And so basically a lot of young girls, and this what makes me sad is like our world is pretty good here in Australia, you know what I mean? There's laws in other countries where 12-year-old girls are getting married off, right? That we don't even think about because we're here in Australia. And, I don't even know if it happens in Australia because of Sharia law. But, yeah, that's happening. And these girls, Maria was an air hostess with Etihad. So she then, wanted to help these girls. She had this one young girl that lived with her and, she basically rescued her. So I went, okay, I'm going to do it for these girls. So I went and did this challenge at a Wilder Mall. All my fitness crew came in with me. We were in the shopping centre for 24 hours, and I'm doing these push-ups. I break the record. We raise enough money to send 10 girls to school. It's just a small ripple in the ocean, but it's something. And then I was obsessed with that. I was like, I'm not the brightest person in the world or the sharpest tool in the shed, but this is me. This is what I can do. So, I think it was every couple of years or yearly, I would be doing a challenge for an organisation. One thing, I went over with one of my friends, Ahmed. We went over to Dhaka to meet the kids and went to the school, and we ran a marathon over there. And it was just like jaw-dropping to see that side of the world. Do you know what I mean? And what these girls, are overcoming. And I was in Dhaka and they were living in like sheds with corrugated iron roofs. The people had no nappies. They would be giving me the kids, it'll have no underwear or anything on, you know what I mean? And I'd be like, oh, this is just intense. They were walking in dirt. They needed a sack of potatoes. We were in a rickshaw going along and both of us had left our money. We saw one gentleman like running like a dog, like like on his hind legs and that, and we just like our hearts broke. I said, "Oh, you got any money?" He goes, "No, no, no." So we had to go home, get money, and come back. It's just like it's so like the lifestyle. And when we're fighting for equal rights in Australia, good for us. We should be, sportswomen should be getting so and so money as the men. But I think we should be fighting for global equal rights, and that's what our soldiers are fighting for when they go to war. Yeah, so I think we need more of that, and that's why I think our soldiers that do go to war deserve more, because that's the stuff that you're fighting for. So I didn't get to fight like my husband fought in the war, but I got to fight a different way. Yeah, so I found my talent. I did that one for Maria Christina Foundation. Then I did the pull-ups, 24-hour pull-ups, and I did that for World Cancer Organization for children that didn't have access to medical aid in their last few, like, when you're in palliative care. So basically I raised money for children to have that, so in their last few days they died with ease and I don't know if the word is ease, but less pain. So, and then I did the London Marathon. I did that for another children's organization, a charity. Children are important to me because when they're growing and molding, you know what I mean? Like you can make them or break them. I was nearly broken so many times. Yeah, so that's why I think it's important. And then I did, oh gosh, I've done a few. Sorry.
No, it's good.
Always for a charity for kids that needed something. I didn't raise millions. I just, like I said, a mere ripple in the ocean. That's all I could do, but that's what I did. Instead of doing nothing, I thought, well, how can I give back? Because, despite what's happened to me, I've had a pretty good life. Look where I am. And I believe in karma. Do you know what I mean? So if someone pisses me off, I'm like, karma's going to get you. I'm not chasing you anymore. You're not worth my breath. But it comes back to you. And it comes back to you.
And with that, like, you're a mum, so it pulls on the heartstrings. You're a mum, and seeing these kids that are going through absolute. And the word that I know that you were looking for was comfort at the end.
Yes,
right? Comfort. And so these kids that have got cancer, and with each challenge that you did you like the mindset to go in? Because like you're like, and I'll say this. You've got to go in with an elite mindset of going, well, I'm not going to stop. Like, how did you prepare for each? Did you go, right? Did you set out to break the record? Or did you go, I'm not going to stop until my body tells me to stop? Well, talk me through that.
Yeah, I wouldn't stop until I got to the number I needed. Then it would be easy days. Yeah, so that was the biggest thing. I said to myself, I was going to do it. I don't care about anyone else, but I wasn't letting myself down. And like, with me, everything I say I'm going to do is non-negotiable. Like, if I can't physically do it, like, I won't do it. Like I always said, if I'm going to go run an ultra, I said the only way I'm coming off that is if they're evacing me out. So I always thought to myself, oh, look where I am now. I didn't go to war. What's it like sitting there battling, being away from your family, being away from your kids, not knowing. So I draw on what's happening in the world, because I'm so grateful for everything that I've got to get through it. What reason do I have? What excuse do I have not to do it? So far, knock on wood, I don't have cancer. My mum passed of cancer, but I don't have it. My kids don't have it. You know what I mean? I'm so thankful for what I've got that I'm like, why wouldn't you go do this if you can do it? If you can do something that you're physically capable of doing, why make the excuse not to? I just empower myself by doing that. And so, for those years that I was doing the Guinness World Records and doing those challenges to raise awareness for organisations to raise money for kids, that was what I thought I'd do for the rest of my life. But obviously, your body can only take so much, and with age as well, and this stupid perimenopause monster thing that people invented that I'm currently going through.
Yes, that you poor buggers have to go through as females, that males don't have to go through, that we go through midlife crisis, but you guys, that the whole menopause thing, it's not an easy ride. Some people just sail through it, and other females that,
Yeah.
just
We're all different. Every human is uniquely different. You know what I
correct.
mean? Like you can't compare your journey to someone else's. Just go with your journey. You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
And if it's a rough one, make it the best rough one that you get. You know
That's
what I mean? Like you owe yourself that. Every morning I get up, I look at affirmations. I remind myself how lucky I am to get up
Yep.
in a house with my kids. My biggest fear in life is outliving my kids. That's my biggest fear.
Yep.
So I don't know how, for those parents that have lost, I don't know how they go on, but they manage. We will always manage, but that is my biggest fear.
And like I know you in that, recently you've had your hip replacement, and the thing I love about you is that you don't stop. You go, look, you embrace the pain, and like there's no growth if there's no pain. Like
Yeah.
it's an old saying, but it is so true in that there's no growth if there's no pain. And you, like, as you said, like Eve, you've thrashed your body. Your body is now, you've got arthritis through your body, but like this morning when before we jumped on, you hit 52 minutes for 10 Ks. And you just told me before, you're like, ads, I'm going sub 50. Like, I've set a goal and I'm going to achieve it. And, but you've got arthritis through your body, but, some people find excuses that go, oh, I'm too sore, I've got arthritis, or I've got this, or I've got that. And I was, I had injuries earlier on a few years ago that I was like that. I was like, nah, can't do it. But now I'm like, no, you got to push through. You just got to change your training and work around those injuries, and build other areas up and then work on the injuries. And it doesn't stop you. Nothing stops, unless you don't have legs, or you don't have arms, or whatever, or you're sick and dying. You can move your body, get out and move.
Yeah, I think the sick and dying one would be the hardest one. But have you not seen the internet? Have you seen how many wonderful, great, inspiring people there are that have disabilities, physical limitations now because they've lost a leg? I'm in absolute awe, and I don't know how anyone else doesn't use the internet for that.
Yep.
It's a lot of brain rot out there.
Yep.
But the good thing about it is we're seeing people do things that we didn't even expect. Yeah, so that's it. That's why I love Instagramming and the interweb. But just to see what people are capable of. I don't like to use it for trolling, but a lot of people do because they can do that now. But so getting out there and I know you said pain. Like if I've got pain in my hip, I'll walk. But it's hard. Choose your hard. Like this is hard what I'm doing right now. If I sat there and ate and put on weight, that would be hard. You know what I mean? Choose what hard you want. It's
That's
both
right.
hard. Like, I know that we embrace different body types now, and that's fine. If you love yourself and you are happy and you are healthy, more importantly, healthy than the shape that you okay, healthy. So you don't have high blood pressure, you don't have heart disease, you don't have diabetes because of weight, then that's fine. Yeah, but once they start to come in, you need to change your lifestyle. And you maybe need to lose some weight. And that's science and that's a doctor. But apparently that's offensive. Do you know what I mean? Like to be healthy, you can look however you want. But like when their medical conditions start to tick in, you need to change something. Yeah. And eating healthy is hard. Eating unhealthy is hard. Yeah. So everything is triggered by this.
Yeah.
If the mind is willing, the body is able. And that's always been my thing. I say to myself, I'm going to do something. I'm going to do it. Sometimes I buy like so many chocolate bars and just sit them in the cupboard and watch them. Oh, and then I get my periods. And then
So yeah, that's, and I know how you are a fitness freak, and and I say that in, I mean that with love, because you are, and what you've achieved, and 16 times Guinness World Record, like, and with that, with those records, did you have to submit them to the Guinness World Records? How did that work?
See, like I said, Abu Dhabi was about networking. It costs 29,000 dirhams to get an adjudicator. So people would sponsor that, or they would come and do it for the event. When I came back to Australia, you have to film it. Front view, side view. You have to have people sign it off. So I've still got multiple records sitting in my waiting box for me to maybe go and do. Like, I don't know if I'm finished, but like, I'll do ultras again, but they won't be like, me going up on a podium or receiving an award. It'll be me running 50 Ks down the road and 50 Ks back. Yeah. So I love doing that, because it doesn't matter where I do it. I've run in Nepal, I've run in Utah. I did the Scotland West Highland Way, which was actually my longest run, 100 miles, So I've done a few things, but yeah, we'd have the adjudicator there for the ones in Abu Dhabi. And so pretty much got the records on the spot. Yeah, so they were really good. And, I even, what was it, the 2022 or 20, I even got my first full page in the Guinness World Records.
Yeah, wow.
I get little segments. So it was like, because I'd broken so many in the fitness stuff. But like, I'm seeing a lot of people break them, and it's so good, because I feel like, I was a pioneer in there. I set that record. Do you know what I mean? So I've given someone a reason to challenge themselves. That makes me happy. You know how many messages I got? Oh, did you see the police officer that broke the record? I'm like, good for her. They're like, are you going to do it again? I went, no.
But at the time, as I've said, and throughout this whole pod, it's purpose. You had that purpose.
Yeah, you need purpose. People need purpose, Adam.
That's right. And you had that goal, you achieve that, and then you move on to the next goal. And in 2018, this is where you finally separate full time from, defense, and sort of, as you say, you're still reserve, you still got your foot in the door, but most veterans and first responders that I've spoken to struggle with transition. And, as you've said, when you first joined, the army saved you, then, the RAF. How did you transition fully to say, right, that's it, I'm done, and, close that chapter?
I sat down with Scotto and we discussed a dream of mine that I wanted in high school. Where did I want to go before I wanted to be in the army? I had an amazing teacher, amazing teacher. He guided me the right way, but he also guided me the wrong way. I can't say too much about that, Adam, but that's the heavy backpack that I was carrying for 30 years.
Yep.
And I'm so conflicted about that. And
I know the story.
Yeah, I'm not going to divulge, but I finally had the courage to go, I'm worthy enough to become a school teacher and to help kids like me. So I started my degree overseas in Abu Dhabi, and networking. I had a really, really wonderful mentor called Stella. She was Romanian and she was loud. She was like the Romanian version of me being Hungarian. Do you know what I mean? And she was like, she took me under her wing, and she was the PE teacher at my kids' school, Gems American Academy. And then she moved over to, oh God, I can't remember. I think it was Al Yassi. So please, I'm not sure about that one again. But I went, you know what? I can do this. I'm smart enough, I'm good enough, and I'm worthy enough. Because I ran away in my final year at high school. Basically, I had an incident. I reported it. The incident got founded to be true. And basically, I left because when that teacher was kicked out, and I knew that everyone would know that it was my fault or think it was my fault. And see how I use those words, my fault, is for 30 years I thought it was my fault. From year 9 to year 12, you know what I mean? It happened. And I thought it was my fault because I allowed it, and obviously because the life that I had. And when I said I got dumped for assault causing actually bodily harm, it was in this same period where I'd been pushed to the limit. I had no one to talk to. And then, all that happened. So I started studying. I started studying between my teaching at NYU and my private clientele. And I was doing it part-time, but I got it done within 5 years. So it was 4 years full-time and 5 years part-time. And I'm not as dumb as I thought. I finished with a high distinction. Oh my God, I'm clever. And so again, that was another empowering moment. So I went, I'll try this. I'll give back. Somewhere along the lines, I'll meet a kid like me. And, you know, because a lot of people would have seen me and went, oh, she's a waste of time. Don't worry about her. She's gone. She's going to go to jail. She's going to do this. And I heard it. You know what I mean? And I didn't like people saying that about me because it drove me the other way. So basically, I got my degree and I'd come back to Australia, and I was still doing a couple of prac lessons at Easy School. So I was doing it at Easy School, and then voila, I'd finished. And then I got my first full-time gig. And it's, like I said, it's the school. It's a good demographic school. It's a great school. We have the best kids. And it's here. I'm doing it. My son's at that school. I have been so lucky to teach two of my kids. I've been around my kids forever, and I guess when I sit there and think about those people like my husband who I've deployed, of all the moments I've been lucky enough to embrace, like if I was not to wake up tomorrow, God forbid, do you know what I mean? I've had such a good life with my kids. You know, I've learned along the way with them. I've made mistakes. I've made plenty of mistakes, you know what I mean? But they don't hold that against me. When I was sitting in my settlement case, my oldest daughter jumped on and she listened to it. And I was so glad she did, because when I don't know the word, Adam, I can't say it because I'm not allowed to say the word. The other people, the opposing team to me, yeah. I just can't say who they were, sat there and said I was brave, and that, you know, my actions as a 17-year-old changed policies in school, and that, you know, I've really made a fantastic life to myself. And my oldest daughter was there to hear that. Yeah. It was overwhelmingly like, because I was like, she gets me. Do you know what I mean? She understands. I wasn't always a mum. We were two people growing up together, and I made a lot of mistakes. You know, but I tried to give her the best life. We all do as parents. But, yeah, it was just so nice to have her there to finally understand that, you know, things that I've spoken about, because I've been very forward with my family about my life, you know, have resolved. And that, you know, and I've never been in a better place with my children than I am now.
And that, I know, like when you and I first met, that you had this going on, and I know that, you know, when we originally were going to do the podcast, you're like, Ads, can we just put it on ice? I just need to get through this. And from when I spoke to you then to where you are now, and I know I'm going to say this, I'm bloody proud of you, mate. I really am. I'm so proud of you for
Don't make me cry.
for what you've gone through, and, you know, to come out the other side and still have a smile. That, to me, and they are 100% correct in, and I mean every word of this to you. I absolutely, you know, I love you for what you've and how brave you've been, because it's not easy. What you went through was, you know, and we're not gonna talk about it, but it's so empowering that you've come out the other side. That, you know, a lot of other people would be broken, but you're not broken, and you're choosing to now use this as, you know, as a positive aspect and a positive lens, and take it forward. And, you know, I just, as I say, I'm so proud of you. And yeah, just I love that, you know, I'm one of the people that gets to call you a mate, and just, you know, so well done. And yeah, just, you know, you really need to just let that land for a minute, and just really let that land, because you are absolutely amazing.
You're too kind, Adam. I'm just a regular person trying the best I can. I mean, and that's what we should all be doing. I got dealt a, you know, deck of cards or something like that, but I still played the game. A rusty spoon in my mouth, I took it out and I polished it. We are all in charge of our own lives. Face domestic violence, sexual abuse, yeah? My husband went to war. I was there, raised my kids, working mum. We all do it. We all fight our fight, yeah? But we can't give up. Don't be a victim, be a survivor.
I love it. No, that's awesome. And being, coming from your military background, now, you know, there's certain, and I'll say this, that there's certain teachers that you work with that have a very different view, very different, they see life through a very different lens. How do you cope with that? Being who you are, and I know who you are, and I know your personality, how do you cope with that? Because that would be frustrating.
Adam, I had my hip replaced, right?
Yes.
Wasn't able to exercise. So I had to take leave without pay, right? Because if I don't have my vice, didn't have jiu-jitsu, couldn't run, I was lifting pissant weights, good enough for what it was. But I knew wherever I worked, okay, not just my job, just say I was in the army again, all right, because I can't get myself into trouble here, right? I could not go to work because I would punch someone. And it doesn't matter where I worked, okay? Like, seriously, I know how to unwind when I'm stressed. If I have, a bump heads with somebody, I'll go for a run. You know what I mean? I'll go lift. I'll go do this.
Yep.
Exercise is my Haldol. Haldol was what my mum used for her schizophrenia, right? But exercise is my thing. I think I'll actually die exercising. You know what I mean? I want to live a very young, long life because I have like a vision in my head that I'm going to be soda and Scott's going to be pop when we have grandchildren. Do you know what I mean? Like, I cannot wait to put my grandbaby in a running pram and push them along. Do you know what I mean? And roll with them and pull the dumbbells out and look at Soda go. Woohoo!
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, that's why I wanted to ask you that question, because I know your personality and I know what you're like. So that would have been hell. And but do you think? And I'm not going to get you, controversial here, but do you think some of the way that the way teachers are now is, it would be hard because you've come from a different, they're all doing different, they've all come from different backgrounds. It would be hard, wouldn't it? Like in the lunchroom, it must be hard.
I don't go to the lunchroom. I go work out.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I keep to myself, and we have so many good teachers at my school. Like, I can't say anything other, okay? We do. If you're in the army for 20 years, do you not become disjointed because, of change and shit that you don't want to happen? I see that happen a lot with teachers as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, they are working very hard, not just to teach the curriculum, but to teach kids basic respect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Bullying. Like social online media use, how to navigate that safely, because parents aren't doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our role as teachers is not just educators, we're mentors, we're like parental guidance. We're there, things that happen online come to school. We've got to navigate that too, bullying. Like, we couldn't disconnect. At the start, we talked about, having dial-up and stuff. When we went home as kids and we had a shit day at school, we went home and we were at home. Yeah. Now you go home, they pick up their phones, and everything is in the house. Yeah, so there's no escape. So, it's really tough for kids. Every generation faces their own, adversity. Yeah, so, social media, I love being on social media with the fact that, I can kind of see what's going on around me, what's happening with the new age, so I can connect, sitting there with the kids, 6, 7, I'm going to send it because I need a way to learn how to connect. Yeah. So I sit on that and I'm like, okay, this is good. I can relate to the kids this way. My son absolutely hates it. And he was in my health class and I had to teach him sex ed. So you can imagine that. And he goes, whatever you do, Mum, do not use you and Dad as an example. But it's hard. It is so hard for teachers. And I can't at all sit there and, sit there and say anything bad about any teacher I've ever met, because you wouldn't go to work and you wouldn't go there to do a shit job. You go to work as a teacher to do the best you can.
Yeah.
Just like in the army, there's shit soldiers. They would have thought that initially of me when I put the toast on, started giggling at everybody, caused a fire, went out to the weapon sheds with some whiskey. Oh, Adam, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, so you might want to delete this one. But when I was at 1HSB, this is how much fun I was as a soldier. Okay, it's probably why I got myself into a lot of trouble. We drove the ambulances, the 6x6s. And we had a patient that we had to take to Richmond, so you might need to delete this. This is, So basically, he wasn't feeling well. He was on suicide watch. And me and my mate, she was a medic. Do you know what Australia's Wonderland is?
Yes, I remember that. I remember Australia's
We
Wonderland.
stopped off on Australia's Wonderland and we went on the roller coasters and did all the rides. I had my arm cam pants on and black singlet and boots. And I said, what are we going to say if we get back? And they ask, and we say, we ran out of petrol. We had to carry the cherries. Man, I had a good time in the army. I really did. Do you know what I mean? I was young and I was fun, and it's what you make of it. People would have so many cool stories. There were some shit ones, some hard ones, some tough ones, but the whole point of them, God put them in my life so I could learn.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I know that is a funny story because I actually do remember Australia's Wonderland because I'm old enough. I know people think that I'm not, but yes, I do remember it. So 2004 was when it closed. So I do remember when it closed. So there's now a M7 turnoff that actually goes beside it now. So, and there's now factories there, but I do remember that. So what a story. And no, I'm going to leave that in.
It is a good story. It is a good story. It makes me, I haven't told Izzy yet. Because I'm so scared. She's so much like me that she's like, I'm going to do what my mom does. I was like, no, don't do what I do. There were those exciting times. There was tough times when, I had no one and I was posted to 86 Regiment Headquarters 2 Div in Randwick. So I was living over that way before I'd met Scott. And basically I had Tyler and I was not the CO's driver. I was a regimental, I drove.
Yeah.
God, what was his name? Some Lieutenant Colonel General. Excuse me, I'm so not.
No, that's all right.
And there was I had nowhere to put Tyler. I put her in the car in a baby seat, and I remember him saying to me, he goes, "Corporal Georgie, I wouldn't care if you drove me around in a tutu." You know what I mean? So there was some people that supported me because I can imagine. How much shit he didn't even say anything. I was like, I'm so sorry, sir. I've got nowhere to put my child because the person that was supposed to look after him didn't turn up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when you sit there and go, the army's tough, yeah, it can be tough. But when you're in a bad way, sometimes the right person will help you.
Absolutely.
Sometimes people will forget about you. I got forgotten about. But I think I came good because of this one RSM, this female RSM, when I got posted to there, and she put me on my subject courses. And she goes, tell me what happened to your last unit with my ex. And I told her everything. And she goes, I'm glad you told me because your RSM rang up and told me. And he told me that you were the shittest soldier ever. Do you know what I mean? And she said, I appreciate you being honest. I've always been honest. I take accountability for all my actions. I've made so many mistakes. Yeah. But because I'm honest about them and I have no shame because it's made me who I am today. Do you know what I mean? She gave me a chance and she goes, and then you should have seen me grow.
Yeah, because someone believed in you.
Same. So I still hadn't met Scott then. But so I got my courses, I got a Soldier of the Year at that unit as well. And then I went to DSCE, and that's where I got my Australia Day medallion for 2006. And people saw the good in me. So, if you hang around chickens, you're going to cluck with chickens. Find some eagles, you'll soar with them.
Yep.
The right people.
There's an old saying, you hang around a barber shop long enough, you're going to get a haircut. Or another one, you hang around 5 millionaires, you'll become the sixth. Do
you know what I mean? So surround yourself with... and choose. Be picky. You have that right. And that's the same as family. I love my family because of blood. Do you know what I mean? But I wouldn't surround myself with them. I can't because that's where I'm going to be. I'm going to be living in welfare again. And I don't want that. I mean, I'm so far removed from that. That was how I'm 46, 47 this year. So that was 30 years ago. My kids have gone to prestigious schools. I've worked hard for everything I got, and the same as, it's like I will choose. I will not waste an inch what is it of energy? Oh, God, I think I'm outspoken now. I've lost words, but I won't waste an inch or an ounce. That was not my strong point of energy on anyone I don't want to.
No, and you protect your inner peace, and that's what I love about you. And I've got a few final questions before we wrap it up. And so, do you think women in the ADF get the recognition that they deserve for their service and the sacrifice that you guys have to, and some go field, do all that? And if not, why do you think that is?
It's still a very much a man's world. Do you know what I mean? I'm all for women that want to fight in those same roles, combative roles, that, more power to them. I think if they want to do that, the standards should be, I know that physiologically we are not the same as males, but I can guarantee you I would have passed the males test, the physical test, not a problem. But would I have been able to shoot someone? Probably not. I'd probably hit a target somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? I was a shit shot, but I was fit. And so basically, if you want a woman to do a man's job, and we are physiologically different, biologically different, we do think different. Men, fastest 100-meter sprinter in the world, male. Fastest marathon runner in the world, although women are pretty good at endurance, is a male. Person that can lift the most weight in the world is a male. Yeah? But if you want a woman to do a man's job, they need to do exactly the same fitness test, even though they don't have the same capabilities, because he has to carry an 80-kilo pack, she has to carry an 80-kilo pack. Do you know what I mean? But that's going to break her because it's going to break him. So I think women still don't, because there's a lot more, and it's so great to see. I'm all about women empowerment and doing things. Personally, I love where I am as a trad mum, in the army, as in the RAF as a PDI. I really love that job. But like I said, you got to do you. I do still see, and you will see a lot of men getting the accolades because a lot of men have done the job and they've done it properly. I'm right now going through perimenopause, and people are going to hate me for saying this, but this has been the hardest time in my life, so I'm not myself on certain days. If someone looks at me the wrong way at work, you know what I mean? I'm like, I hate you. Yeah. And so women are very emotional creatures. I'm not saying men aren't. There's a couple of bitches out there that gossip like girls. You know what I mean? But we are bred differently. And we're trying to take social norms away so women can be bred like men and men can be bred like women. That's fine. But speaking as a woman myself, I know how I feel. I'm not speaking on the behalf or advocating for anyone else. But a lot of men get the awards because a lot of men are there doing the job, and they're doing the job properly. And women have the babies and, are there at home. I'm not saying that men can't. And there's a lot of women I know that have deployed. Kudos to them. You know what I mean? But like I said, my medals and my kids.
And I love, as you say, the medals, and the wives and partners of servicemen deserve, and most... Like, I've spoken to other mates of Scott's, and they say, mate, we wear the medals, but my wife should have the medals, and then my kids, so it's a really great point you touch on there. And what advice, Eve, would you give to any young female that is thinking of joining the military?
Oh, that's a big thing. That's a big, find a mentor. Find a mentor, someone that you can trust. Especially if you get posted away from your family, Eva Clarke. Okay, if you get posted away from your family, and what I'm seeing on the news, it's still disheartening to think that stuff like that is happening in the military, Adam. You know what I mean? It's like, I cannot believe it. I think there's 1,000 women putting in a claim for mistreatment and whatnot. It's a sad state of affairs. It is a very much man's club, and I know that we want equity and we want diversity, but when you're posting a single young woman to a battalion with she's got no network, no family, and she's 5%, her agenda's 5% there, and the rest is 95% males, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think
You
it's going to be like, safe? Do you think she's not going to be put around people, that expose her to sexual abuse or harassment? So that's the big thing.
well,
Tall poppy syndrome exists.
what did you say at the start? Sorry to cut in.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
What did you say at the start? You were fresh meat.
Yeah, fresh meat.
And I don't want to say that, but
it's the most sexist, horrible, disgusting thing you can say.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? But like they see it, and what you hear about people that are married, infidelity, and stuff like that. Like, let's start calling this behavior out.
Exactly.
Let's start calling it. Being a female in the military is not easy. So our bodies are made. How can I say this? Like, our bodies are made to reproduce if we can, if we're lucky enough to do that. But if I say that now, that's offensive. Do you know what I mean? We're all stepping on eggshells. It's because we don't want to upset people. Real talk. Yeah, we need a bit more of that. So talk to your girls. Yeah, okay. Let them know they're going to be put in positions that are vulnerable. If you want to do a man's job, you're going to have to work. You're going to have to do what a man does. You can't go, well, I want to go to the SAS, but I want to be able to run that fitness test 10 minutes slower and do 2 pull-ups instead of 20. Do you know what I mean? You're equal to the task. Yep. You want equity, you do it. Oh, all of a sudden, physiologically, biologically, we're not the same. So those rules apply. But when you got people that are switching around, it applies. Like hypocrisy and consistency. So in the Defence Forces as well, but my thing to girls is you can do whatever you want to do and more power to you. Like, if you want to go join the SAS, do it, and do it at the standard of a man, because that's what you're expected to do. Don't lower the standards for us. Yeah. So that's how I feel. It's like you can do anything you want to do. And if you're going to have one setback, get knocked down, get back up. What does Rocky say, Adam? So it's not about how hard you hit, it's about how hard you get hit, how much you can take, keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
I love you did, and I love that saying, and that's
exactly go girls, right. Go girls, do what you need to do, girls. Don't use me as an example. That's my journey. Please don't get upset with what I've said. It's my journey. You do you.
Exactly, and great advice. And I've got a couple more here for you, and then, but it's just been what a story. Like, who would have thought, hey, when we jumped on, you would have thought, I haven't got a story. You told me that. You're like, I don't have a story.
No, I'm boring.
No, bullshit. I call bullshit, but yeah. So what advice do you wish you had been given when you first contemplated joining the army, or soon after you joined? What advice do you wish you had got before you joined?
Oh, I wish we got spoken to as young girls a bit more about sexual abuse, sexual misconduct, separately to the males. You know what I mean? I wish I knew a little bit more about that you're going to be some people's trophies, that the first person you meet isn't the be-all and end-all, isn't, don't try to rush out, move out, play happy families with someone. Yeah, so that was my biggest mistake. So that's just me. So I'm talking about where I was at. But I wish there was more advice and knowledge and literacy on female-male interactions and fraternization and whatnot. It was almost cool to do.
Yeah, it's and here's the thing, as you said, hindsight, you can't go back. You can only go forward, and hopefully that's taken forward into the future.
I know, yeah, they want, just the way that kids are put into, and a lot of them are kids, you know what I mean? They're kids. The adult brain doesn't stop growing until 25. We know that. You know what I mean? And we've got these young, volatile, pubescent, testosterone-filled kids living together. You know what I mean? So it's a big frat house at times. So I'm hoping it's changed, because that's what ours felt like, a big party house. Do you know what I mean? And girls were girls. Girls were used for what girls are used for. And I hope to God that changes.
Yeah, we can only hope, that's moving forward into the future. Let's hope, Eve. We can only hope and pray. And, so what advice would you give to the wives and partners of service, men and women that are deployed to, when they go down a life with, a partner who is, in the military?
Trust them. Trust them. Right? Don't give them shit because they can't answer your call. Yeah? Don't get onto them because, where are you? What are you doing? What, do you think they want to be there? Do you know what I mean? Like, they're going there because that's the job they've chosen and they're proud to do it, but they're sacrificing so much. Yeah, and it's hard for the mum or the husband to stay home and look after the kids. It is. But trust. If you can't trust someone, then you shouldn't be in that relationship in the first place. But, yeah, trust is huge. And Scott and I have had that our whole lives. You know what I mean? And I don't, like, I'm probably giving you shit. Where the fuck are you with your mates drinking again or something like that? But neither of us drink now, So we're in a pretty good place. But trust them. Yeah, understand they may be different when they get back. Work with them on dealing with that. Seek help together. And that's okay if they are different. Yeah, okay? It's like if you put a red and white T-shirt in the washing machine and put it on together, I guarantee that white T-shirt's going to have a bit of red in it. Yeah, so something's going to change about them because of the environment that they've been in. I haven't been there, but I've seen change. And I was like, okay, how are we going to deal with this? Not you, we, because we're a team. So my big thing is be there. Trust them and be there.
I love that. And in your opinion, what more needs to be done for veteran families while their partners are away, with either the military helping the spouse, or in your opinion, what more needs to be done?
More connection. Look, back in my day, there was no connection. Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know if that falls on a different entity, but, mainly CEOs and, your sergeants and that checking in with you. But, look, I think more awareness, bring them, have awareness nights, information nights, session nights. I'm assuming they do that these days, okay? I've been out of the loop for a while, but it's be realistic on what you're going to get back. Yeah, so if I put $250,000 in a term deposit account for 4 months at, say, 4.5%, I might get $9,000 back. I know exactly what I'm getting back. I'm sending my spouse overseas. Let me know exactly what they're facing. Like, I mean, it might be hard and they go, I don't want you to go. It's part and parcel of the job, and it's every person's dream that has joined the military to do what they want to do. If that may be to go overseas, it may not be. And that's fine if it's not, okay? So whether you're going over there, combat unit, and what was the other one called? So if you weren't in combat, what were you in, Adam? Do you remember?
A non-combat role, or
a non-combative role, or a non-deployable role. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, something like that. So I can't remember, but like, we need to be real on what we may get back, because we might be sending the most bright, bubbliest person back, and that's not the person that's going to come back straight away. Yeah, it's going to be hard. You've lived by yourself for 9 months. You should be getting in on how to transition. When Scott came back for Abu Dhabi, I'd been by myself for a year and a half. So I opened up the academy, threw myself into the academy, did that. And, being a female black belt, and having it was all these guys coming forward to me, and I was scared. I thought, I'm a little chihuahua here. These guys are going to try to pull it over me. They didn't. All I said to them was, I don't want any of you country bumpkins paying me with goddamn tomatoes and cucumbers or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? And they started to look at what I'd done. Like, they found out about my Guinness World Records. They found out about my ultra marathon. You talk to people, and so word of mouth spread. And, like, you get the respect you deserve. Yeah, so I got it from them. So that was my thing. But, yeah, for anyone that's kind of, overseas and then coming back, maybe there should be someone helping these people reconnect. You know what I mean? Living with someone after 9 months, 12 months, or multiple deployments, you've created your own space. Do you know what I mean? You've gotten accustomed to a certain lifestyle. So you kind of need to reconnect, but you could be reconnecting with someone different. So you really need to have avenues and resources that can help you both, not just go home and work it out. It doesn't
I,
work like that.
I love that because, Emma spoke about it in her podcast where she would mow the lawn, she would put the bins out, she would do all the cooking and virtually made it that Mark was like, oh, they're okay then. The kids and Emma are fine. I'm not needed. I can, and she's like, I sort of put a rod in my own back where I made it where they could, where, same as Scott, where you were busy doing your thing and then you couldn't make it where they transition back into that, normal civilian, like this is life together. It's, so it's a double-edged sword, Eve. It really is. It's that double-edged sword of,
Oh,
do too much and not do enough, or,
yeah,
so it's
getting
very hard.
back to encroaching, even with parenting, like, who are you to tell the kids what to do and what time to go to bed? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I bought this lawnmower. How does the lawnmower work? Well, I had to work it out. You work it out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's
So
right.
it's hard.
Yeah.
But we're complicated beings. Yeah, we've got all these emotions and all these feelings. That's why I think there's got to be a goddamn heaven, because if I go after all this bloody emotion, I need something. You know what I mean?
That's true. Very true. And so looking back now, all that you've been through and all that you've experienced in your life, was joining the army still, apart from marrying Scott and having all your beautiful children, was joining the army still the best decision that you made, looking back now?
Well, I absolutely am 110%. I know you can't get that happy where I am today. So that journey needed to happen, the good, the bad, the ugly, to get me where I am today. I went to the army because of an adversity in itself. Yeah. So I needed that. That's where life was taking me. That was, you've had a pretty tough life, kiddo. Huey, more. And now that I reflect, I know what I look for when I want my kids to have certain things. Yeah. So I always go, okay, they can't go without, which is also being my shortcoming as well. Like, giving them too much and not them not building their resilience because they can't work it out themselves. I'm always being first in the problem solve. But the army was good to me, and I made what I could of it, and I'm so thankful for that. And I'm thankful for the shit people, the great people. I remember with Tyler, I had a friend from the unit, Linda. She was there for Tyler's birth because her dad wasn't, you know what I mean? So he was off doing what he was doing, but I had her there. So there were people that you wouldn't even fathom supporting you. And there was people that you thought you could trust breaking you. But it's been a heck of a journey. And I would say this to any little, not traumatic person, but someone that's a bit confused and wants adventure and wants life, go for it.
Yeah.
Do it. Have a crack. What's the worst that can happen? You don't like it? Do your 4 years and get out. But it's you'll meet people from all walks of life that you'll always have in your life some way.
Yeah. No, I think every veteran first responder I've ever spoken to says the same thing, that it's the best job in the world, and when you leave you realize how amazing it was, the friendships.
It's hard to adjust after. It really is. And I know that we get PTSD from things that happen in the military, things that happen in our life, but I always think to myself, when you lose the camaraderie, the mateship, the routine, you know what I mean, the structure, and you get out and you go from being someone that was valued in the community just to be a civvy, whether that pushes the PTSD a little more, do you know what I mean, and your mental health issues a little bit more. So it's hard to adjust. And again, this is where I said the jiu-jitsu, when I found it in Abu Dhabi, it was exactly like the military, the banter, the fun, the structure, the routine, the regiment. Everything is exactly what I needed. So I could relate to it. So it might not be jiu-jitsu, but it's got to be something. You know what I mean? Find your purpose after the military. For you, it's been making these awesome podcasts. And reconnecting with a lot of other veterans. But if you don't have a purpose, you don't feel like you should exist sometimes.
100%. No, absolutely. That purpose is everything. You have to have a goal. You have to have, and find a community, and you've obviously found it, and it's been fitness. And recently, your beautiful daughter, Izzy, joined the army. And how was it for you? And like, how proud were you and Scott when you went back to Kapuka and watched Izzy march out, doing what you and Scott did all those years before?
I just said, why didn't she join the Air Force? No, I was really proud. Like she's got a lot of feistiness in her. She's got a lot of fight. You know what I mean? She's young, but she hasn't had the life that I've had. So I think she's got the common sense not to make the mistakes I've had. She's 20 now. She's not pregnant. So that's a start. Look, I was so proud of it. And it was more so because, like, she idolizes me for my fitness, but she idolizes her dad because it's her dad and the things that he's done. And her and I have a different bond to them. And, like, I really think she joined the army because she wanted to make her dad really proud. And, you know, so everything that she's doing or choosing, she's generally should ring me first. That's the rule. But she's ringing him. You know, it's normally like things around the house, mum, but now it's army stuff and it's dad.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm so glad that, you know, that the kids out there, I know we should always be doing stuff for ourselves. Our job, kids' job is not to make us proud of them being like us. Yeah, but like we felt this sense of pride. I can't tell you how much it hit me in the guts. Do you know what I mean? Like, hey, you know, you've done it. I remember the first phone call. I thought, oh my God, don't quit. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, I hated it. And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, I didn't know. But, you know, every phone call that we were waiting for on those Sundays, it was like, come on, kids, you've come this far. She's had her own challenges in there, just like every other kid. But, you know, right now she's thinking about long-term military, you know, this is going to be my career, and I can see it happening for her. And I hope she chases rank, and I hope that, you know, she chases happiness, and I hope that she gets the opportunities that she wants, you know. So as a female, and it is harder, I'm going to tell you, it's harder. But I hope she gets the opportunities that she wants and she deserves, and that if she wants them and deserves them, that she makes the cut when the standards aren't dropped.
No, and I've seen her, and she's a very spitting image of you, and she's a badass like a mum and her dad. So, and good, I wish her all the success. She's, you know, you are both beautiful humans that give and give and give, and all your kids are a prodigy of you and Scott. So well done on that, legend. And I say that with the, you know, because I've seen your post with Izzy, and I've seen, you know, and they're a credit to all your kids are a credit to you both. So yeah, well done on that. And how do people, you know, get in touch with you if they want to follow you and they want to ask you stuff about, you know, being the wife of a, you know, veteran, being a veteran, or your BJJ? How do they follow you?
Okay, so you can Google Eva Clarke Guinness World Record. My picture pops up. Now you can find me on Instagram. Oh, what is my Instagram name?
It is interesting. I can't remember it actually.
Fitness Evolution BJJ.
Yeah.
I'm also on Facebook. I've also got Frontline Jiu-Jitsu Academy, and my contact details are on there. So you should be able to Google Frontline Australia. I'm not rubbing my breast. So cool. Yeah, you can find me there. You know what I mean? Like, I'm always open for a chat. I get lots of people messaging me about fitness, even though I don't practice PT anymore. I talk about that. I get lots of people about jiu-jitsu. I get lots of people about my lifestyle with stories that I've shared online and stuff like that. So if I speak about domestic violence or sexual abuse or anything like that, people reach out to me, and I don't ignore messages. I talk to you, you know, because I know exactly how you're feeling and sometimes lost, you know, so I'm not there to give you advice. I'm there to listen and point you maybe in the direction of someone that can help you. I get help, and it's fine. You know, you can take the stigma away from that. We all need to breathe sometimes, and someone's out there and they can give us the air. And just remember that it's so cliche, but, you know, when you're in an airplane and if you're going down, they say you've got to put the mask on you first, then the kids. Yeah, you need to do that in life because you can't pour from an empty glass. That's so true. Cliche, but true.
Very true, very true. And we'll put all your links up in the show notes when the potty drops. And What are your plans now going forward with you and Scott and your family into the future, Eve? What are you hoping to achieve now?
Okay, I went to Townsville. Oh my God, I want to move to Townsville. Oh my God, all year round 10. No, like we've got the academy. So we've been in sales for 5 years and, we've got real positive growth, met a lot of wonderful people. Like our team is amazing. We have a no dickhead policy. So if you get kicked out, that's not my fault. It's yours. You're a dickhead.
I like that. That's good.
Do you know what I
Accountability.
mean?
Accountability.
But we are very veteran orientated. The way we run it, some people will say like a cult. I don't know if the army's a cult, but we're not a cult. But I have been referred to that before. But we're such a mateship, kind of group of people. So we're there for each other. We've got people that are leveled up to purple belt now that can run classes, that can take things. When we first started, it was like, okay, we'll take every single class. And, burnout's real because both of us work full-time jobs. I'm a PE teacher. He's doing HSC, and both of us finish in the afternoon, Monday to Friday, taking classes, Sunday taking classes, and we're trying to be mum and dad and husband and wife in between. So it's pretty tough. But, so we're going to keep our academy going. Who knows, maybe one day I'll come back and do a record. But my next goal is to be able to run 50Ks this year. That's on my bionic hip. I've already done 26. I'm bragging. Yeah, I'm really bragging.
Yeah,
I've done 26 on New Year's Day. Hey, I didn't even walk.
Good girl. No, I saw that, and now drive your very fast car that you've got. So
Mustang.
yes. So so that's your new thing. So
that is my new thing. I got a Mustang. Why did I get a Mustang? Well, Scott bought himself this Nissan Patrol thing, big man car. And then it was time to get a family car because gave Izzy the Mazda because she didn't like an MG. Here I am. And so Scott goes, oh, you'll get a Hyundai. So we get a Hyundai, and I was like, why do you get to pick what car I have? And I'm like, I want a Mustang. I said, Tyler's left, Izzy's left. There's 3 of us in the house. This is a 2-person car. Do you know what I mean? He didn't argue with me. He's like, get the Mustang because you're going to post it on Instagram once and it'll be mine.
So you're now, and I think you've earned the right now to have some you time with Scott. Like you both have had a, very kinetic life, deployments, what you're doing, and honestly, you deserve it, mate. You deserve to just have some you time now. And the kids are getting older. You nearly got H through his final years of schooling, and then it's your time, yours and Scott's time, and this is where you guys get to enjoy the next chapter of your lives together, and which is awesome. And I've got one final question before we wrap it up. And looking back now, and all that you've been through, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self, and would she listen?
She wouldn't. She wouldn't listen. And I would tell her not to get married at a young age. Okay. I wouldn't say not to get pregnant because I wouldn't want my child not to exist. Yeah. I would say you don't, just because you're pregnant, you don't have to marry them. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'd say. But I know she wouldn't listen because I was at my uncle's wedding and I wanted to leave there so badly that I reversed my car out through his fence and clocked him in the face because he wouldn't let me. No, it's a true story. She's no way I would have listened. Now I know why Izzy doesn't listen to me and why she's moved out of the lines and got a house. Look, honestly, don't feel so guilty. There's things that I would tell myself, don't feel so guilty and don't feel so ashamed when bad shit happens. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you're a product of your environment. You can't control these things. People will take advantage of you. I wouldn't say one word. I'd sit there and say a lot of shit. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Don't feel the shame. Don't carry the luggage. You know what I mean? Don't take it into the next chapter of your life. Leave it, leave it. So that's the big thing. We all make mistakes.
Well, you learn from,
Oh, you do. And that's why when I'm sitting there going, why isn't my kid listening to me? Because I wouldn't even listen to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And, that's what life is. It's a journey, and we've got to go along, the journey and the road to discover, these little things that we learn from our mistakes. And, sometimes our biggest failures become our greatest success.
Absolutely.
And just keep persevering. And I love it. So Eve, what a story. Wow. When we started this, you said to me, Ads, I don't have a story. Well, we've spoken.
No, I didn't even want to do the podcast. I'm like, I'm so boring. Like, I don't see it. Do you know what I mean?
And well, we've spoken for over 2 hours. So
Have we?
yeah, so that's what I mean. You don't have a story? Yes, you do. And it shows a different perspective of, that's why I wanted to get you on, because I wanted to show that perspective of being both a veteran, a wife of a veteran, a mother, and having those deployments all thrown in, and what you're doing now, and you're thriving. And Eve, your story is one of true grit, determination, and of service, and never giving up. And I want to thank you for all that you do for veterans, first responders, and people who are struggling with mental health. And just, it is an absolute honor to have you on the podcast and share your story. And you have brought pride to your family. And thank you once again for coming on True Blue.
Thanks, Adam. I really appreciate it, and all your kind words. I do. I mean, everybody's got a great story. Do you know what I mean? So it is what you make of it. But thank you for allowing me to share mine.
No, not at all. And I'll have to, when I'm next in Melbourne, I'll have to come down, and you'll have to choke me out on the mats. So
You're always welcome to come down here. And I was really thankful.
No, you did. No, it was very good. So
I should use the other word. This is my piece. Wrong. Remember?
Yes.
Wrong. I should have said wrong, because there's ring and there's wrong.
That's right. No, definitely. And no, I will come down, and I will definitely come down for a roll, and I look forward to catching up with you soon. Thanks, legend.
Yeah, I think you'll like the vibes of the mats.
Yeah, awesome. I can't wait. All right, legend, I'll talk soon.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to True Blue Conversations with your host, Adam Bloom. Real talk with those that pledge to keep us safe with grit, sacrifice, and determination. See you next time.